Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Get You Painted. I am your host today. I'm Alec, and today I am joined. I am joined by Pete. Pete, how are you doing today?
I am doing very well. Awesome. It's hot as all get out in the Midwest, but here we are.
So, Pete, who are you and where are you from?
Yeah, so I am a podcaster. I do a lot of miniature games from the Rage Quit Wire podcast. That's where a lot of people probably know me from. I play a lot of back in the day Guild Balls, where the podcast got started, and then we transitioned to doing Malifaux, and now we're adding a lot of War Machine content just because we're my local meta here in the Midwest in Kansas. I'm in Wichita. I've been really pumped for the new stuff coming out, and yeah, it's exploded. So I got back into it, and I'm really enjoying putting out content for War Machine.
That is awesome. I know before we started, we were definitely talking about Guild Ball and some other things, and also Malifaux, and our we were kind of reminiscing about it. So it's always nice to talk to someone who has enjoyed, gaming back in the day.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Uh, so what are you painting today?
Yeah, so I mean, anybody that's listened to the podcast for a long time knows that I eventually faction hop. I just am a faction hopper. I like some of the factions more, and we'll come back to them. But for me, I always do well when I can understand how a faction plays, and I do that by playing it. So I tend to faction hop just so I can understand them more. But I am hopping over to Orgoth, so I'm going to be enjoying them. And I'm actually painting, might butcher his name, but it's Azdarak, Herald of Immolation. I'm just going to call him Trogdor because he's burninating the village. So yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I'm working on.
Oh, I always think that I always forget that that's what that one is. I always think that that's a chimera piece because of how it
Yeah,
looks.
yeah, they have one dragon.
Man, I can't wait for someone to actually paint that to be like Trogdor and put a little
Yeah,
strong bat on it. That would be so epic. Or to put like the crazy big strong arm on it.
just have a junior warcaster following him around that looks like strong bad.
Yeah. Man, that's some old internet lore. There's gonna be so many people who don't even know what strong bat is.
Listen, if you haven't enjoyed Strong Bad, it still checks out. You need to watch
Oh,
it.
absolutely. Oh man, him and his Tandy checking his email.
Yeah, man, the cheat doing, the techno.
Oh my
That's what
goodness, yeah. The cheat and the cheat's light switch.
Yep. The
Oh
system is down.
god, yeah. That's
That's a
I,
deep
I
cut.
you know, I had that as my ringtone for a while. The system is down.
Yeah, man, that's because it was legit.
It was. It was a lot of fun. So as people who've been watching, so this is going to be kind of a fun thing for people who've been watching. So since these episodes don't necessarily come out in order, I've been painting Big Pig here, and people have been watching it go through different stages, um,
Nice.
which is kind of humorous. So right now I've been doing some washes, and then I've been doing some highlights, and so right now I just did a little bit of a wash on Big Pig to on his skin to bring out some color. I did it on his body as well as his face, and then I'm waiting for that to dry, and I'm gonna go and do some of his uh, I forgot what they're called. These little servos built into his body, and then I'm gonna wait on that, and I'll hit some more of his metal bits,
There you
which
go.
is always fun. I'm one of those people where I really hold my model. I know a lot of people have like the big bases and they never hold their model.
Oh yeah,
I'm one of
I
those
I
old. Good.
I do the same thing. I'm holding like you can see I'm fingerprinting
Yeah,
the crap out of this wing right now.
I feel like that's an old school thing. Like us, all us
It
older
totally is.
gamers, we have our arms flat on the table, like and then we like so it's flat, so we get that nice sturdy surface, and we just hold our model so it's staying there.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think it's like the younger guys. I say younger, they're probably in their 20s and 30s, and they're
Yeah.
probably like, we're not young. It's like, oh, my sweet summer
Oh,
child.
yes. If you were not painting and playing tabletop in the '90s or even '80s, yeah, you're young.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about. That I have like my old BattleTech minis over here from the late '80s. I don't remember what we were talking about. Yeah, killed the
Talking
wasp.
about being old painters. That's what we're talking
Being
about.
old painters. Yeah. So what was one of your favorite things that you have painted over the years? Doesn't matter how bad or how good you painted it. What was one of your favorite things that you have painted?
Oh man, I and there's so many things.
Well, just if you want, it doesn't have to be just one. You can give me a couple things.
Yeah, it's tough. I will say probably the favorite things that I have painted. Man, which game system do I even? All right, let's start with War Machine. All right,
Go
so
ahead.
and this is actually, this probably, so there's two things I'll share. So one, I think when I started playing Circle of Orboros, I did this kind of really cool green and gold, and I did kind of like an autumn theme, so I threw some oranges in there. That was actually one of the first paint jobs I did where I actually used like color theory. So I
Hmm.
use like autumn colors to really, make the green pop, and I use these, autumn leaves on the basing, and so that was really cool. And then I would say the other thing was when I learned how to use wet palettes, and I did
Oh
that. It was
yeah.
Yeah, I used it on Malifaux models, and one of the things that it turned out the best with is I painted the Hooded Rider, which is this really cool. He's on a horse. It's kind of like, the riders in Malifaux are very, very much like like riders of the apocalypse, essentially.
Yeah.
So he has this giant great sword. He has a hood on, has these really cool dreaded tails and stuff on this nightmare horse. And that was one of the first models, along with Teddy, that I used a wet palette on, and it came out so smooth and cool looking that I was like, okay, that it's really cool when you paint stuff and you experiment, and the experiment pays off. So that's one of the cool things when you paint and you pull it off essentially.
Yeah. I sometimes I think about how much I use a wet palette right now. So I'm using a wet palette right now as we speak, and I think about like that without thinking. I always go to the wet palette. I automatically start blending, and I just do it. And I was like, man, I think about painting in the '90s, and I didn't have a wet palette.
Yeah,
I would just paint
just
right
throw it
from
on
the
there, man.
bottle, like going right from the can and just not thinning it out. I'm like, oh my goodness. I found some of my wood elves from the '90s, and I was like, oh boy. Not even looking at the faces, but just like the amount of paint that I put on those things.
Oh yeah.
But all right, so
Mhm.
I definitely can see that. Man, I think about some of my favorite things to paint. Um, I'd probably say, and I'm sure some of the listeners remember, some of my wife's Grimkin that I've painted, and I put
Nice.
so much work into those. Like just the King of Nothing, I think that turned out so well. Like having him be in the tree, that turned out. Or the I forgot what the tree is called.
Yeah,
The tree.
Grimkin was like new after I got out of Mal or
Oh, okay.
out of the War Machine game, so I'm still learning what those models are just because I have not encountered them yet.
The tree with the girl. She has like she's the temptress. I just blanked out what she's called. I'm sure someone in the comments will say and be like, "How did you forget this?" And I'm like, because I did.
Because there's a bajillion models in the game.
There it, there's so many, and yeah, there's so many as along with oh, there's a lot of stuff going on in my brain right now.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing that I appreciate that Steamforge did, because there was a lot of model bloat in the game, that I would say. And then them getting a hold of it and just dialing it back and be like, yeah, you can use all those old models, but in Prime, we're going to cut this back. And that's where they have these new factions, and some of the older ones they really cut back that you can't use everything, just because obviously they want their SKUs and stuff to be, lower. You don't want a
Yeah.
crap ton of models.
Well, I also think so. As someone who was faction complete in multiple factions, Don't get me wrong, I loved all my minis, but
Yeah,
let's be honest, how many of them actually saw play? And
that is a
even if
thousand
all of them
percent.
were perfect, did you have the ability to play all of them? Like the mental space.
Yeah,
Like we didn't, because you would focus on, even if everything was good, you still would find the perfect stuff to run, like the optimized stuff, and that's what you would run.
yeah.
Because we're gonna,
Optimize when you have like your pet models or stuff that you just enjoyed.
yeah, and like that's what's gonna happen. And I know that there were some people like, oh, well, I paid for this model, I wanted to use it. It's like, well, don't get me wrong, I understand that, and you can play it in unlimited or in legacy play, but you got probably what, 10, 15 years out of that, and that's pretty awesome. That's better than some
Also,
factions were.
honestly, if you really love the model, I would just be like, I would proxy it personally. I would be like, yep, I'm going to proxy this as this model because I really love it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's, man, I still can't wait for new Menoth to come out. Oh man, I am
Yeah, it's
chomping
going to
at the
be
bit for
fun.
that.
Yeah, Menoth just is a War Machine faction, so I think it's good for them to bring it out like that because when you think War Machine, that was actually the first faction I played in Mark One.
Hmm.
I played old Resnick, and yeah, it was just it's very. Plus, you get that Crusader kind of knight feel to it, which a lot of people like. So yeah, I think it's just good for the game that they're bringing that out.
So my first caster was Krios 1,
Nice.
and my second was actually, so I came in uh, right before Apotheosis. So I like my first expansion was Apotheosis with Harbinger, and I remember getting, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is amazing. So she was like the second caster I picked up. Um,
Nice.
yeah, I mean, eventually I picked them all of them up very very quickly, but
Yeah, that's what you do.
man, I remember using Fiora and just bullying people with her.
She definitely could do that.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I can't wait for new Menoth. It's gonna be awesome. I'm I finally have printed all of the shield, the spear, the helmet. Um,
Yeah, you sent me that. I'm like, man, that's sweet looking.
I didn't realize how much USPS would want to ship that helmet, but then I thought about how big the helmet is, and I was like, oh no,
It's
that
awkward,
makes
yeah.
sense. But like shipping prices are crazy nowadays.
They are. Yeah, that's because sometimes I'll send stuff out to patrons and stuff, and I'm just like, man, I want to ship out to the international dudes, but I gotta build that up because that is pricey.
Yeah, well, I feel like, for example, like with the helmet, because I put it I what I did for it is I put it in a box, I wrapped it up, and then I took it to the post office and I was like, how much would it be to ship this? And they're like, it's $40. And I was like, that's I was like, that's more than it cost to print. It was like $19 to print, and
That
it's,
was which is wild.
yeah. And I was like, that's, it would be better for him just to print it at his local game store than to
Yeah,
have.
that's what I was like. It was like if I really want this, and the cool thing is now you can almost go to like a library and they'll have some kind of print that you can usually borrow or something.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
it's
mean,
kind
for
of
me, I just wanted to help you out, but I was just like,
yeah,
oh man, this, I
yeah.
feel
We
like,
figured that out.
yeah. Now, if you ever come to Nova, I'll print some stuff, and you can
Yeah,
just
there you
wear
go.
it on the plane flight back.
Yeah. Listen, there's a lot of weird people out there. I don't know if I want to be that person.
That, can you imagine just wearing like a protector and helmet on the plane?
Like,
This is my
what the
personal item.
crap is this dude doing? This guy's crazy.
Oh my goodness. You'd be like, I'm just worried about COVID, so this is my mask.
This is just one of them fancy, whatever masks. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Oh man, people would I feel like people would get really upset.
Yeah, luckily I'm not too concerned about that. So it's like, yeah, you can be upset. That's fine.
Yeah. So what is one of the things you're looking forward to painting in the future? Is there any model that's coming out that you are excited to paint?
Oh man, that's a question. I am getting a bunch of Orgoth stuff, so obviously there's a lot of cool things there that I'm, especially Butcher, like Orsis. I'm like, yeah, give me that. Um, so that's the first thing, but also for the old Brine Bloods, I want to paint old Scuttlebutt there. He looks really
Oh, he
cool
looks so good.
in game and model wise. I mean, he's pretty much the giant crab off of Moana, so what's not to like there?
Yep. I'd love to see someone actually paint him super shiny because then you could just
Take your
sing,
daughter's
the
like
song.
glitter and just put it on the shell.
Yep. Maybe it's just the dad in me who has seen that movie so many times, but that was one of my first thoughts when I saw him.
Yeah, that was like one of the first movies that my son really got into and was like, "Oh yeah, this is kind of a cool movie." And we got into obviously other ones as well, but also important while you're painting, don't mix up what you're drinking with your paint cup.
See, actually, so my wife got me these. So it says paint water, and then I have the other one that says not paint water. I would show it to my painting palette one, but then I'd spill all over my keyboard and it'd be bad.
Yeah,
It'd be
I
fun.
got I got the coffee cup, and then since I have a little bourbon, it's like, yeah, we'll just keep the bourbon over here. That looks different enough. Let's not put the paintbrush in that.
Ooh, so what kind of bourbon are you enjoying? I too like bourbon.
So this is one that I had to finish because it was like towards the bottom. So I
Hmm.
just poured it in the Glen. So that is a store pick Woodford Reserve Double Oak.
Oh, okay.
So it's got a nice caramel flavor to it. It's low proof. It's only like 90 something proof, so it's pretty smooth.
I am a big fan of all of the Elijah Craigs.
I love Elijah Craig's Rise. I think their Rise are really good.
Man, uh, I also like the Pappy Van Winkle, but those are just so pricey.
I've never tried it because I don't even know. I'm not going to wait in line for it, so I'm not like those guys that are going to camp out. So I've almost accepted, unless I want to try it for $100 at a bar, I'm probably never going to try it.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But it'll probably be good when I do try it.
yeah. Actually, I had a really good one when I was in DC, and I actually had the whole bottle of it.
Oh,
It was
nice.
called Sagamore something. It was the one that was like the signature blend for the hotel. It was
Okay.
very tasty.
Yeah,
So
Sagamore. Um, yeah, Sagamore just generally is a pretty good rye. So,
yeah, but yeah,
all right.
it's always humorous when I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, what are you drinking?" I'm like, "I'm drinking a bourbon." They're like, "Oh, I like whiskey," and I was like, "Hold on, there's a difference between just general whiskey and bourbon." And they're like, "What?" And then like I get into the whole conversation of like bourbons and scotches and whiskeys, and they're like, "Oh man, you really like it." I was like, "Oh, we could go down this rabbit hole, my
Yeah, I
friends."
mean, I probably have, I don't know, I might have close to 60 different bottles. So yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I'm pretty into it because I do like all of it. So like bourbon, scotches, Irish whiskey, like I have a handful of pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things you can tell sometimes as you get a little bit older. So like when you like probably in your early 20s, you're like, "Oh, you get a bottle and you finish the bottle." And then
Oh
you
yeah,
get into
you
like
do
your
what I
30s
call
and
drinking for effect is what I call it. That's what you do in
yeah,
your 20s.
but then you get into like your 30s and 40s and you get like $100 bottle or more and you
Oh yeah,
drink like a finger or two of it and you enjoy it. But you
oh
don't
yeah,
drink like the whole thing. You just drink a little bit of it to enjoy and relax. And, you do it maybe with a good pipe or, like a good cheddar cheese with
Oh,
some crackers. And you're like,
are
oh,
you
wait,
a
like
you
I'm
enjoy
actually,
good pipe tobacco? Is that something you enjoy?
I do. Oh, man. That like,
Did we just become best friends? I think we
I think
did.
so, man. So my father-in-law got me into Stockabees,
Nice.
and I have some actual Stockabees that he gave me that are over 100 years old.
I was sick.
like that
Yeah,
that have
you
been
can't see it.
preserved.
I have a leather pipe rack over here. It's
Hmm.
leather. It hangs on the wall and it holds about, I don't know, it can probably hold about 40 or 50 pipes. So yeah,
So
I'm a big pipe tobacco smoker, man. That's one of my jams.
I really enjoy. So my favorite ones. What's your? I should ask you. What are your favorite types of pipes?
I like a little bit of everything. I do like corn cobs just because you can kind of smoke them until they die, which is nice.
That
But
is true.
probably my favorite pipe is probably it's more sentimental. I have a Savinelli Gator uh, straight pipe, and the reason why I like that pipe the most is because I actually picked it up in South Carolina,
Hmm.
and it's I picked it up with my mom who lives in South Carolina, and it's got a gator texture to it. It's one of their gator pipelines, and yeah, every time I smoke it, it reminds me of my mom. So I love that pipe.
Have you ever been to smoking pipes in South Carolina?
Absolutely.
Oh, dude, man, see, this is why we get along.
Yep.
I
That,
used to when I would lived in North Carolina in Fayetteville. I used to go there all the time.
that's a great shop, and the owner's really cool. That's actually where I bought that pipe, and he hooked me
I
up with a bunch of dented t pipe tobacco he had in the back. He's like, "Yeah, here, I got some dents that I'll give you because you bought a pipe."
I still have Clark's Blend. Do you have Clark's Blend?
I
Because
do
they
not.
stopped carrying it. I still have probably 16 ounces of Clark's Blend.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a thing. Like you tell people, you're like, I still have this, and they're like, what? We stopped carrying that. I'm like, yep, I still got it.
Yeah, I wish I could find some Frog Morton on the town that wasn't stupid expensive.
Yeah. No, so my favorite that is like my classic, and I only smoke Clark's in it actually, is a London GBD,
Nice.
and yeah, someone like saw that. So it's actually funny. It was given to me as a gift from one of my friends. He went to an estate sale and was like, "Oh yeah, I don't really like this one here. You can have it." And I cleaned it out, and it was an amazing. And then we looked up what it was worth, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to sell it?" I was like, "No, I love this thing. It smokes amazing." Like,
Yeah,
no,
I always go to estate sales and I always look at pipes because yeah, you can find some gems there, especially if you get like some good. Why can I think of the brand right now? It's not McClellan. It's I'm not going to remember it, but yeah, you can find some really good ones at estate sales for sure.
I mean, some of the church wardens you can find are amazing.
Yep, and it's coming back. There's a lot of young men. I mean, listen, if you like Lord of the Rings, come on. I mean, pipe tobacco is like going to be, and you don't inhale it. So I know some people are like, oh, tobacco's bad, but you don't inhale it. So it's more about the process and the smell you get from the tobacco burning. And it's almost like, burning incense, except for cooler because you're smoking a pipe.
Well, also, depending on if you get the older tobaccos,
Yeah.
there's less ingredients. It's tobacco.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, even the new blends, as long as you don't get like a lot of the aromatics get that extra crap in there, but if you just get
yeah,
like an English blend or Virginia blend, it's going to be pretty much just a straight tobacco.
yeah. I mean, some of the cherry Cavendishes aren't too bad, but yeah, yeah, like as long as you're not doing like one of like the Walmart special ones, you're
Yeah.
pretty good. Man, yeah, I one of my favorite things to do is just to sit out on the porch and have a bourbon and have a pipe.
What's your go-to bourbon? What's the one that's like, yeah, this is the bourbon I'm going to pull up when I want to just chill?
Elijah, well, so my if I it's not actually a bourbon, my go-to if I have the time and price is not a problem because this was like my go-to in Germany
Uh,
was 18-year Glenfiddich.
okay,
Um,
that's a banger.
yeah, but coming back to the US, I realized I could not do as a
Yeah,
like an
that's like
18-year Glenfiddich as a daily driver because over there, like back in like 2017, 2018, it was like $60. Over here, it is not.
it
It is
definitely.
it is much worse. So that's why I switched back to bourbon. So now I like to do Elijah Craig, and um, that's I rotate through different ones of those. So the small
Nice.
batch is one of those ones. It's not too expensive. It's I'll chill. I use my like the my whiskey stones, and I just do
Yep.
that neat, and that's my casual. But because of everything else going to health wise, I actually don't get to do that anymore. So I get to let my friends enjoy it, and I get to sit there and have a sugar-free ginger ale.
There you go. I mean, hey, listen, at least people still get to enjoy it, right?
Yeah, it's true. Like actually, it's nice when friends come over and they're like, "Oh, you're pulling out the good stuff." I'm like, "Here you go. Like,
Enjoy.
enjoy." And I'd
Yeah,
like
mine's
someone
kind of
to enjoy it.
funny because I do like bourbon and stuff, and I like making cocktails for people. So like old fashions are fun.
Ooh,
Um,
what is your old-fashioned recipe?
so there's one I like that I stole from a Discord
Mm-hmm.
where it is a so if you don't know what an old fashioned is, it's basically bourbon. You can put some kind of sweet syrup in there and bitters, and then usually some kind of citrus fruit to give it a little bit of spike. So, but if you haven't had like the Jack Daniel's single barrels, they tend to be pretty spicy. Like I like using rye in my old fashioned because they have more
Mm-hmm.
spice to it. Gives you a little more unique flavor. So those Jack Daniel single barrels, they tend to be pretty high proof. I'm talking about like, they're 130,
Yeah.
135. A couple of them can get up to 140. But if you mix that in your old fashioned, there's actually one where you put maple syrup in with it, and then you put
Okay.
some bitters in with it, and then you just a little bit of, citrusy note on there. I usually use oranges, and yeah, that's a banger. That one's pretty good.
That is solid. So what I find for what I like to do for mine, so mine's changed over the years, especially since I turned 40. I've had to adjust the recipe a little bit. So, um, with mine, I do instead of doing a syrup, I do sugar and the Mediterranean cherry at the bottom, and I muddle
Yep.
it, and then I do the bourbon into it. So and then what I do is I do a little bit of um, ginger ale.
Nice.
Then I throw the ice cube in, gentle stir, and then a piece of orange, and then yeah, that's pretty simple. Oh, and the
Yeah.
ginger ale I use the extra strong type of ginger ale,
Nice. Yeah,
because I
one
find
of
that
my
then I get
checks
like less heartburn.
when I invite people over to the house, I always have a check just to kind of see like, okay, let's see what kind of if they tell me they like whiskey. I'm like, all right, let's see what kind of whiskey drink you are. I'm like, do you like an Isla Scotch? And
Uh,
if they don't know what that is, I'll ask them if they want to try it, and then just gauging their reaction, you can be like, all right, we can tell what kind of whiskey drinker you are. Because if they don't hate it, it's like, okay, you can enjoy like a strong drink usually. If they hate
oh
it,
yeah.
it's like, yeah, we need probably a lower sweeter proof. That's probably fine.
Oh no, dude. When I was in Germany, I was in a group called the Dependa Bros, and it's all most of it's former military guys who are married to active duty military spouses,
Okay.
and they had on Ramstein they
That's
did
cool.
um, uh, what do you call it? They did Scotch tasting night,
Okay.
and man, the going and doing so like people showed up in their kilts. I of course showed up in
Yeah.
my kilt, and that Scotch tasting was amazing. Best 50 euro I ever spent.
Oh yeah, man. If you can befriend somebody that has a Scotch collection, they will share some bangers with you. And I don't have a ton. I have probably the most scotches I have are Islays because I do like the smokiness and the peat of it.
Hmm.
Um, but I do have like some McClellans and some other ones that I'm slowly getting just because, some of those sweeter scotches can be really good.
Oh no, no, this was hosted by the Scottish military troops that were there.
Oh, sick.
Like so it was, and then it was the Scottish or the British Exchange that was there was the like the place that was like selling bottles afterwards.
Okay.
So it was, yeah, it was nice. They had bagpipers there. Ah, that was a wild night because it was supposed to be like you were going to get a half-ounce pour, but instead they started doing 2-ounce pours for everybody,
Nice.
and it was 12 different tastings.
Money.
Yeah, it yeah, it was a fun night. We went from there. And then we went and got Benji's Tacos, which is a wild place because it was American style tacos in Germany.
That could be
Oh
interesting.
man.
That could be hit or miss.
So it was actually it was actual Americans,
Okay.
like Tex-Mex Americans, and it was good food. Good food.
So let me ask you this because this is something. So this is back on painting. This is actually not
Sorry, go ahead.
not.
Yeah, see, this is we get off topic.
Which is fine. Yeah, which is fine. But it just made me think about it because I picked up this giant, flame jet here. So I've seen people have preferences in the way they paint fire. So I always prefer the smoky trails and then having the brightness kind of come out at the ends of it. So I was wondering how you prefer to paint your fire. Are you a person who likes the bright, like yellows and oranges, or do you kind of do the smokiness? Like, how do you like painting your fire and stuff?
So I actually have painted it all different ways because I have painted it traditionally like it's supposed to, where it's the hottest at where it's supposed to be. So it goes white to uh, it would be white to yellow to orange to red to uh, the gray and like of the smoke. And then I have done it reversed. And then one of my favorite ways I did it was I did blue, like blue
Ooh,
fire,
that's cool.
and that I did on one of my archons. I'm gonna have to see if I can find a picture of it, but that was probably one of my favorite things, and that was broken by the movers because army movers suck.
Yep. Yeah, so
Um,
I kind of the way because I've like you, I've tried lots of different ways and actually painting fire is the opposite of how you learn to paint minis because, minis it's like, oh, the bright colors are usually on top. Whereas
mhm.
fire, yeah, it's going to be basically the brightest at the point of where the fire is coming from. And this model is actually interesting because the fire is coming from the flamethrower in its mouth. So I'm kind of playing with this because I'm going to have it bright coming from the mouth, but then I'm going to have it just bright coming at the edges here and then the smoke trailing kind of as it goes. So yeah, this one's kind of an interesting because the point of the flame is actually from the mouth, which is a little different than you see on a lot of models.
Yeah, man, trying to paint rockets, the flame for rockets
Yeah,
is oh
yeah. So
that is
I
a
actually just did
process.
that because I'm playing Crucible Guard. So yeah, I have a
Mhm.
bunch of those rocket men, and they came out pretty good. I didn't hate it. I did it more less fire and more smoke. So a lot of whites and grays, a little bit of red kind of in the background, but
I'll have to see if I can find them. I did third-party rockets that I bought from my judicators, so that one of
yeah,
my judicators was shooting a full rocket barrage out of its right side of his rockets.
nice.
But yeah, painting those to make it look correctly was a a pain. Or I made my own artillery pieces. So I don't know if you remember years ago when Dallas Kemp was still with Privateer Press. He would sell, they would do like the little videos, and then they would do, hey, we're going to sell you a kit and teach you how to kit bash. It was super
Nice.
awesome. And one of them was they would teach you, excuse me, how to make a cannon, like a big full artillery piece, like a full howitzer, instead of like those little tiny di- like dinky little cannons, if you
Yeah.
remember. Um, and so then I found a company that sold a artillery piece leaving the tube with the smoke trails. It looked awesome. So I then painted those as well. And it was funny. People were like, "Oh, that's too much smoke for a shell." And I'm like, "No, that's exactly what it's supposed to look like." you wouldn't have all this extra fire. Like you'd have a little bit of fire here, but everything else is going to be burnt powder. That's what it actually looks like. And someone argued with me, and I was like, here's a picture. This is what it looks like. And they're like, that's not what it looks like in cartoons. And I was like,
Oh, jeez.
okay, but I'm telling you, I've
Listen,
seen this happen. This
I
is what
have
it looks like
I
in
have
real
shot
life.
cannons, and that ain't
Yeah, I
it.
was like, I've seen these actually shoot. This is what it looks like, which
Now that being
is,
said, I will say sometimes when it comes to painting models, it is better to sometimes paint more cartoonish because it pops more.
that is very
Sometimes
true.
sometimes realism doesn't come across well on the table. Like you probably remember this. It's a little better now because you can actually 3D print this. But back in the day, if people wanted to create like a smoke trail off of a missile launcher, they had to actually use cotton or something crazy like that. And it
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
look good. But they did
I
it
did
because it was a
stuff like
cool
this
idea.
here.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, it keeps falling off, even though how many times you paint it. And yeah,
Yeah, so I mean, it's cool, and sometimes it just doesn't come across on the table. But I did see some people are now 3D printing those kind of smoke blasts coming out of a like some kind of rocket or a cannon, and it's really cool to see because yeah, it looks cool when you have a 3D printer that prints it out the way that you imagine in your mind.
yeah, man, the amount of stuff that I 3D print now is actually, man, I was supposed to do a video on teaching people how to make their own terrain using preset terrain. So take like some of the stuff that you can get from SFG, like take a rubble kit and then take like the train, turn it sideways, put it in, cut it in half, uh, slice it down a little bit, and now you have half a train sitting out of the rubble. Take train tracks, turn them in, have them coming out at a 45-degree angle or less, maybe like a 15-degree angle, and now you have, you know, train track coming out of a rubble piece that looks like an explosion, like a crater, like the train tracks just took a hit. And
Yeah,
I was working on that, and I'm working on that video still, but it hasn't really come out well. But I was trying to teach people that you can take, as long as you're not sharing the files, you can
yeah.
take that terrain and you can print it for yourself, and you can make your own terrain cool for what you want. And like it's a so that every table is different.
Yeah, for sure.
It's because, like, we used to have kit bashing back in the day. Now we have digital kit bashing. And I know that we're going to have the official rules from SFG here in a little bit on official kit bashing, or not official kit bashing, but like digital kit bashing. Like, what are we allowed to do for or resculpting? Like, are we allowed to, with not Fusion 360, but with Blender, you can put in a digital skeleton and then you can adjust how the skeleton is. So if you were to take that, put it into, let's say, the Hollow Men, like let's say you did the tribes or the frontier for um, the Grimkin, you could then adjust so that each of your Hollow Men had a different pose. Well, is that going to be allowed? Is that not going to be allowed? So we're waiting to see. I'm hoping that's allowed as long as you're doing it for yourself and not for others.
And not selling it and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, not like I don't want people to sell it and, go around SFG, but I'm hoping that as an individual person, you're allowed to do that for yourself. As long as you know how to do it and you're doing it for yourself, that you're allowed to. Because I always like doing, individual stuff like that.
Yeah.
I like being creative.
Yeah, and I think that as long as you're not selling it, I don't see a problem with that. Because I mean, at the end of the day, if people think it's cool, it's just promoting their game. So
Yeah, it's one of those things, like I understand where they might not want it, so that's where I'm waiting for to hear exactly if it's allowed, if it's not allowed, and stuff like that.
yeah, and one thing I will say, and I keep thinking about this as I just paint randomly. I just have random thoughts as I'm talking and chilling with people and painting. Is because I know that your channel, you like, I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, you're trying to encourage people, like, no matter what your paint skill is, to be like, yeah, just paint your stuff. You can get it looking cool and decent, and you don't need to break the bank or do ridiculous YouTube stuff to make your models look cool.
Hmm.
So that's something I think about as I'm painting here because I know some people get really, they're highbrowed on some of their paint selection, and how they paint and what type of paint brushes they use. But some of these paint brushes I'm using are literally from Michaels. Like it's not even a, legit tabletop mini company. They're just, hey, they had these brushes in packs of five for like $5, and I'm using those to paint my models.
Yeah, that's I am all about people don't like spend what you can and don't hurt your budget. Don't I don't even know how to describe it. It's
Well, plus
spend
something you need to think about is, especially if you're a new painter, like a new person playing tabletop, you're not going to know like how to make stuff last longer, like the longevity of your brushes and paints and stuff. Paints I would not skimp on. I would buy tabletop game paints just because they're made to go on models in plastic and metal. But
well, if you're gonna
paintbrushes,
paint terrain, you could definitely get cheaper paints.
oh
Like if you're gonna
yeah,
paint
terrain's totally different, absolutely. But
like
like
when
on
I
a
paint all
model,
that terrain, yeah.
I saw a new player, they got like acrylic paints from Michaels. And it's like, yeah, I mean, you technically can use those, but it definitely doesn't look great usually on the model.
Yeah. No, I definitely for minis, I would say yes, use like honestly I would say use P3 or use Citadel. Those are my
Dude,
two go-to
dude,
for
so
go
you
ahead.
see the model I'm painting
Or not
right now,
go-to.
right?
I'm not saying Citadel. I'm sorry. Pro Krill. Pro Krill or P3 are my go-tos.
So people watching this, so this was a primed black, right? And the reason I
Hmm.
primed it black, sometimes I prime white, but I primed black because the Turbo Nerd paint, they recommended putting it on black. It didn't come out great. I need a little more blue, I think, over it before I put the Turbo Dork paint on it. But all this metallic is maybe one and a half, 2 layers of the metallic paint. And you can see it covers the black super well. This is the
Hmm.
P3 paints. If you use the metallics for the Games Workshop, they'll be okay, but usually on black primer, you'd have to layer it more. This gold pops so crazy on this black. I was really impressed by that P3. It's the, I guess it's just solid gold from P3.
Oh yeah, I have that one right over here. It's amazing.
And I'm gonna put a brown wash over it and then highlight over it again, and I think it's really gonna pop on this model.
Yeah, that's so I like so I want more inks and washes from P3 because they used to have so many of them, but they don't have as many. I know they're going to bring out more now, especially with the Mark II release for the P3 line. So
Yeah,
for Citadel, I use some of their washes. I like those. Um, but for Pro Acryl, I definitely use for Pro Acryl. I use their paints. But P3, ever since I got into the full, so I have like the entire first run for P3. I actually had the original, all of them for P3, but when SFG did the P3, I have the entire first run along with the uncommons.
nice.
Or not uncommons, irregulars. That's what it's called, irregulars.
Yeah, I don't usually use P3 except for their metallics.
Man, I don't know if you ever used the Amethyst Rose is an amazing red. It is.
I have not, mainly because, and you know this being an old war gamer. I mean, when you've been, because literally I've been playing tabletop games for probably 30 years now.
Mhm.
You have so many paints and stuff that it's hard for me sometimes to buy new paints because I'm like, oh yeah, I could buy these P3 paints, but I have, 100 bottles of Games Workshop paints over there. So
Well, I paint so much, especially with like so this is I probably should paint my terrain with cheaper paints, but I paint my terrain with Pro Acryl, and that's probably a waste. Like I'll be honest, it probably is. Um, but that's what I paint my terrain,
I
and but like it comes out well. I'm trying to think if I have any. I don't think I have any in my terrain with me right now. But I paint because of that. I go through a lot of paint. I also
dude,
paint a lot of
if
minis.
you like if you like painting terrain, obviously, Malifaux is a different game, but I will say this about Malifaux as a tabletop game, they have some wild terrain pieces that if you love painting terrain, Malifaux is a cool game for people that love terrain because the boards are very thematic. So I remember I've been to tournaments where they have like a train yard, and then they'll have one for a circus, and then they'll have one that Doug down in Houston did. He has a table where literally it's a honeypot casino. And then he also has another one where Dreamer is kind of like Grimkin, where it's,
Hmm.
these fanciful kind of really, from storybook type of creepy creatures. And he had a table designed for him where it was like a child's room. It had all these like letter blocks and kids' toys, and it was uh very creepy just because it was in that same vein as like Dreamer. So yeah, it was cool to see a board designed that way. All right, I think I got all the red. Always double check your models because I hate going back and painting the same color when I thought I had it done.
So one of the reasons, so I actually have a second big pig that I have cut up because my second big pig I cut the barrels off him and I started hollowing it out,
Yeah.
and I haven't started painting it yet. I'm painting this big pig first because I know I always make mistakes on a model, and if I paint a model first, the second time I paint it, I miss less things on it.
Yeah.
And it sounds probably silly, but it's like reality of the situation.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where I don't go back over a model once I'm done. I'm done because I think you
Yeah.
can nitpick a model and almost to the point where you start making it worse.
Yes.
So I actually get it to a point, I look it over and I'm like, okay, I can live with that, and then I seal it. Because once
Hmm.
I seal it, you can't go back over it. So I'm like, all right, it's done. We're
Yeah.
good. All
Well,
right,
with this
what?
guy, I'm just trying to get him like decent. One of the cool thing with doing so much Iron Kingdoms and being a DM, I can definitely go over FA in what I do because, well, yeah, there's in Iron Kingdoms there is no FA. Whoops, that was his foot. Whoops, that's not
Yeah, I
supposed to be
like
that
that.
red.
I like that kind of dirt, mud, brown, red you got on that model.
Oh, so that's the amethyst rose.
Oh, nice.
I
That's a cool
mix
color.
so I mix the amethyst rose with um what's it called? Um molten bronze because I wanted a like a shiny.
I like a metallic look to it.
Yeah, I wanted a shiny red. So amethyst rose and molten bronze got that color. I didn't even need to do a wash on it. That was just the mixture of the two.
Nice.
Now I'm trying to get this Kador heavy that's underneath it
Yeah, I'm gonna
painted.
test this out. I got that gold on there, and I'm gonna put some. I don't know if I want the Agrax or if I want the Giuseppe on there. What do I want? Do I even have that here? That might make my decision. So I'm the kind of guy where it's like if I can't find the other wash, I'm like, all right, I guess we're doing the Agrax.
Hey, dude, I understand that completely. It's like, oh, can't find agrass. All right, null oil it is.
Yeah, yeah, okay, we're doing Agrax because I'm not gonna dig for that.
Yeah. It's like, do I need to get up? Oh, well, that's not going to happen.
I mean, to be fair, you're not going to notice a ton, especially if you're a new painter. You're not going to notice difference between like Agrax and Sepia.
Yeah.
Sepia generally is a lighter one, so I'll use that usually for skin tones, whereas
Yes.
Agrax is kind of a darker. So
Well,
use that
sepia
if
has
you
like
want.
a greenish tint to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit, not a ton yet. Yeah, you could probably get a little bit of that out of there.
Man, that's like discussing the intricacies of, well, this wash is slightly.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a new painter, I would say one or the other. If your store doesn't have Sepia, pick up the Agrax. I like Agrax more personally, just because I think it does give you a deeper contrast. And I'm going to use it on this gold to try and tone it down a little bit in some spots and see how that turns out.
Yeah, like I think about, so right in front of me, I have Reichland Shade Flesh Shade. I have
Yeah, that's a
Coriola
good.
Green Shade. I have Agraths. So yeah, like, but the thing is, I also, man, thinking about painting, Think about when we were first taught to paint, and you like Citadel actually told you to dip your models. Remember that? You would get like the big
Yeah.
pot, and they would tell
Yep.
you to put a glove on and just dip it. And
Yep.
now, like I use a small brush and I paint on just a little bit where I want it, and then I take it off, and I actually even like I hold it upside down, I paint it on, and then I use a second clean brush to take it off, and I'm just like, oh, it's how things change over the years.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this wash on like this left side, and then I'm gonna show the right side here because it really, I mean, if you're not using washes, it's an easy way just to step up your game as a new painter.
Hmm.
Like I could, especially metallic. So if you are painting a metal model, you could almost put a wash over a metallic paint and leave it, like not even highlight it, just leave it, let it dry, and it's gonna look 1,000 times better probably than what you've done before. So
Well,
I always tell
cloaks
people,
too. Cloth,
yeah,
like cloaks and robes. If you don't go
yep,
too heavy, if you go too heavy, it can ruin it. But if you don't go
yeah.
too
Like I
heavy,
think people can see right now, like I'm just kind of putting in spots where I want it. I'm generally putting a light coat over everything. But yeah, you don't want to pool it because that can really make it look a little gunky and weird.
yeah. Like with the paints, like when using a wet palette, just by using a wet palette alone, first off, it's going to keep my paints thinner. But second thing, what it's going to do is it's going to thin my paints out just a little bit. So when I paint, by doing the dry brushing of the white and stuff like that, which is now called either zenithal highlighting or um, what's it called? Not I'm trying to remember what they call it now. I call it just dry brushing, but it's now there's that term.
Like slap chopping.
Slap chopping, that's what they call it now. I just call it like prepping a model. But because that's what we used to do. Like that's
Yeah,
just what everyone did. You dry brushed your model. Like that was like step one. But now people call it slap chopping because a YouTuber
because
called
you
it
can
that.
use the speed paints on it, and it's
Yeah.
decent. I've tried it before just to show people, kind of like, yeah, here's what slap chop looks like. And you can obviously do different levels of it. But yeah, generally speaking, it's like, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of slap chopping because you can only get it to a certain level. So like this is kind of what I'm saying with a wash is like you can just see it, it gives it kind of that layer to it. Whereas if you look at the side, that's not. It looks very plain and almost yellowish, whereas the gold now has this kind of detail to it after you put a
Mhm.
wash on it, which is nice.
Well, but I mean, what I was going to say, like with slap chopping. So look, so technically, this would be defined as I dry brushed, and well, I think this was actually a zenithal highlight with this. But because I've been layering paints on top of it, I don't think this would be called slap chopping because I didn't use um
Speed
the
paints.
the speed paints. That's what I keep calling it. I keep calling like one step paints or whatever they call it. I don't use speed paints, but I do thin out my paints. Um,
The
so like
speed
people like,
paints are good. I think if you think the slap chop's cool, I think speed paints are great. If you prime white, I think speed paints are great.
mhm.
Some of them I don't like. Some of the colors you'll find are kind of not great. Um, but yeah,
I mean, my thing is no matter what you're doing, everything looks better painted.
yeah.
And I've
Well,
told
see,
people
that's the
that,
thing.
and I will die on that hill.
It's about experimenting as well. Like you're going to find that you might really like slap chop and you can make it look really cool. Whereas I might be like, oh, I actually like priming gray, and I like some people like using airbrushes, which I hate using airbrushes. So I've tried it before. I don't hate the airbrush. I hate cleaning the airbrush.
Oh yeah, that's so there, man. The first probably 6 months I had an airbrush, I hated cleaning it so much. I would just put cleaner in the top, and I would
Yeah,
just push cleaner for like 15 minutes through it
yeah.
till it came out clean, and I thought that was cleaning it.
Well, dude,
Spoiler
I'm a
alert, it's
yeah.
not.
It's not.
That's
That's why I ruined my first airbrush. That's cool.
uh but
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
mean,
I was also
I'm a speed
yeah.
painter. I like painting quickly because, like you, I like getting it on the table. So I'm all about let me find cool methods, but also that's going to be the most time saving. And that's why I like washes a lot. That's why I like solid paints like P3 and some other colors where it's like I know it's going to be a solid color. I can wash it. I can then do my highlights. and then get it on the table. So you learn tricks. You just learn which tricks work for you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that's what I said. I would someone finds out what works for them, get it painted, and the least stressful way, the most enjoy, and not just least stressful, the most enjoyable way. Because I don't want someone to be stressed out about painting. I want
Yes.
someone to enjoy it. I don't want any of this hobby to be stressful.
Yeah.
Playing, painting, building. Like I have helped my friend Jake, he played Convergence.
Oh,
He
good Lord.
hated building models. I
Dude,
understand
I
why.
hate, I hate that.
Cuz
That action sucks for building.
well, like the old Metal Angels, they
Yeah.
sucked.
Their casters, terrible. Like I literally, so I did a commission for somebody because I just paint quickly and they were like, yeah, here, I'll pay you to, build and paint.
Yeah,
He gave me that faction, which was like, okay, whatever. I don't remember which of their casters it was. I opened up that sprue or whatever it was, blister box, and it just came pouring out. It's like I have literally no idea how to assemble this model.
Zintherion. I feel like it's that guy, that spindly
Probably.
guy that was on the little rock.
Yeah, it was. I literally was like, why not? I'm not putting that together. I'll paint it, but I'm not putting that together.
Yeah, I feel like any of the Syntherion um people who play like the actually the new sculpt of him that's 3D printed, so much nicer.
I bet.
So much nicer. Because it's bigger, it has much better like connection points. But the old metal one, that and the Archangels, man, the metal ones, yeah, and they used to break all the time, no matter how you packaged
Yeah,
them in your foam for travel, they would just fall
yeah,
apart. And so like I used to help Jake put his stuff together all the time. I remember just having super glue and just fixing them. And because I wanted him to have a good time. I did not want him to be stressed out because he had other
yeah.
stuff
It's
going
it's
on.
all about removing barriers, right?
Yeah. And I like my goal is for people to have fun and play. Like
Yep.
that is my entire goal of every game.
And it
Unless
looks a
I'm playing against
thousand
them and it's a tournament, then you might not have a
times.
good time. Um,
And it's always 1,000 times cooler when both sides of the table are painted.
Absolutely. Like if you can play with, 2.5 terrain, which means neoprene in the bottom with like 3D terrain on top. That's why it's called 2.5. So it's 3D terrain on top with neoprene on the bottom. That's painted and a fully painted army on both sides. That is the best because I do that and then sometimes I'll do extra effects. Like I have on my Instagram, I have pictures of when I would bring out like the steam machines and the LEDs and the speaker pods and stuff for when my kids played.
Yeah.
Um, and they had so much fun. Now sometimes players don't like that because they find it a distraction, but my
Yeah.
kids, hell, there were some players that loved it too. But sometimes the hardcore people were like, "This is distracting." I'm like, "Fair, I get you."
This is distracting me from doing my math
Yeah,
on
I
how to
mean,
kill you.
hey, let's be honest. Like some people are there 100%, even for a fun game, to just math machine and just crush you. And
Yes.
I've been there, but more recently, I am just there to have fun. Like this coming Nova, I am just there to have fun and help out and help the community. That is my entire goal.
Yeah, believe it or
And
not, I've actually never been to Nova. I've been to a lot of good tournaments, but Nova's not one of them.
well, you should come on out, man. It is amazing. It's always Labor Day weekend
Yep.
in DC. It's put on by the Tried and True people. Eric and Andy are amazing. The rest of the people there who help out are amazing. The Atlanteans help out as well. And yeah, it's a great group of people. The people who come out and play are awesome. SFG showed up last year. I think they're coming out again this year. The
Fire
narrative
event.
events are always fun. I'm not gonna say that's just because I help out with the narratives, but I think the narratives are fun. Um, Also, if you like IKRPG, there may or may not be some IKRPG. It's good times, good people. Um, but I really enjoy it. I think it's one of the best game or best ones on the East Coast, if
Yeah,
not
I
the
mean,
best.
I think that one's always been on my radar. I always like doing Captain Con's always good as well, so I always like going to that one when I can.
Yeah, I wish, honestly, I wish that it was a different weekend for Nova because my kids always want to go to Dragon Con and it's the
Uh,
same weekend as Dragon Con. And it's just rough. I don't think they're ever going to move it because it's such a good weekend, but I wish it was a different weekend because I can't send my kids to Dragon Con with just my wife because it just
yeah,
wouldn't be safe to send three kids to Dragon Con. Um,
yeah,
but
Dragon Con's
man,
one.
yeah, Dragon Con's in Atlanta. It's a ball, dude. Cosplay is so much fun at Dragon Con, so much fun. Um,
I'm a
so
nerdy
much fun,
guy, but you will never see me cosplaying. I will just say that.
dude. You got everyone's gonna see me cosplaying as a Temple Flame Guard at Nova this year. Oh,
Well,
I gotta go. I got someone at my door. I will. We're gonna have to cut this a little bit early. Thank you for coming out, Pete. Um, I will see you guys later.
yep,
Sorry.
later.